What's going on, Sales Funnel Radio family? How you guys doing? Hey, quick question for you. How much money do you have in your wallet right now?
Welcome to Sales Funnel Radio, where you'll learn marketing strategies to grow your online business using today's best internet sales funnels. And now, here's your host, Steve Larsen.
Okay. The only reason I ask that is because for a long time, I actually kept a check in my wallet. When I was first getting started with entrepreneurship, I thought of this number and I was like, oh, that'd be such a big number. If I ever hit that, that would be amazing. It would change my life, you know. And I was single. That was a long time ago. And I would sit about this check and I would think about it all the time. And it actually came from a video that I saw with Jim Carrey. And what happened was Jim Carrey I think this was before he ever really had his first role in movie in Dumb and Dumber. And it was a video of him talking about the experience. And what it is, he sat down and he was like, hey, how much money do I want to actually make? And he sat down and he wrote a check to himself for $10 million. And he sat down and he wrote it for $10 million and he kept it in his wallet and he would look at it all the time. And I think he signed it and everything. Anyway, so he carried this check around for a long time, and he dated it, a very specific date. And what was funny is I hope I'm not telling the story wrong, but it was pretty much on the date itself that the check it was a future date. He future dated the check by, I can't remember how much. But it was on the exact day at the end. He was working his butt off trying to figure out how he could break into this industry and make the 10 million and do the things he was trying to do. And literally on the day of the check, I think that's when he was offered the role for Dumb and Dumber for $10 million. And he was like, oh, what the heck? Now, I don't know if you guys have ever read the book The Secret. And the book of The Secret just sits down and it basically says, hey, you can get anything in your life just by imagining it and thinking about that. And I think that's kind of bullcrap. But there is something to say about having that kind of focus. And so what I did is I sat down and at the time, I was thinking like, man, if I was just to make an extra $1,000 a month, that would be amazing. So I wrote down what I thought at the time was this astronomical amount. And since then I had to, throw the check away because it's so, super doable for me now. And so I wrote down the check and it's for 50 grand. And I put like 3 years on it, and I wrote it, I signed it, I laminated it, and I kept it in my wallet for a very long time. And I left it there. And that's really what, to be honest, that's actually was kind of one of the hallmarks of me beginning my entrepreneurial journey. I started at that point and I started working my butt off and doing all these things and started working like crazy and trying all these different tactics and anything that I could to try and make money and get ahead. And that's when I started, I did stocks and options and real estate, commercial real estate. We were doing, I got a mentor and we were doing stuff with people's 401ks. They would come to us and invest their 401ks in these massive pieces of commercial real estate, so they get shares of it. It was really fascinating stuff. I went to ebooks and door-to-door sales. And then I was doing WordPress sites. I mean, I did so much stuff. I was a telemarketer. All over the place, right? I tried everything I could. I wrote that check to myself shortly before my wife and I got married. And I don't know what she was thinking about that. Like, oh, good job, whatever it was. But what's funny is eventually I hit that. I didn't hit the actual date, but I got really close. And eventually hit that, though. And I was like, wow, 50 grand seemed like it was this huge amount of money. Now, granted, it's still a lot of money, but it's not that much money. And so I sat down and I was thinking about the next goal. I was like, what is the next goal? What's the next goal? And I'm bringing this up because of vision. There's been a few people who've been reaching out and they're like negative Nancy's galore. And I can't stand that. I can't stand to be around that. It's not my personality. I'm not that way. The type of person that will always bring up the negatives of everything that could go wrong rather than all the positives. It made me think of all these different experiences that I've been having lately. With my own business, I know, like I said a few podcasts ago, I was like, hey, look, I know that the next set of challenges that I need to go face, I don't think I know enough for them. I got to go back to studying. I got to get back to learning. I got to get back to reading and listening and doing all the things that I could to just take in lots of information. And then I'm going to go execute really, really hard. But I have to keep the vision as I do that because it's really, really easy. everyone knows that entrepreneurship is a bit of a lonely game. People think you're a little bit weird, and unless you've got like this bright, shining vision, it's very, very challenging for you to actually go and see your thing to fruition, only because you are your own cheerleader. You're your own coach most of the time. There's not many. That's why I wanted to build. That's one of the reasons I wanted to build the Sales Funnel Radio community. It was because we could reach out to each other. We could help each other. We keep things going. It's all about positive reinforcement the whole way through. Like, I don't know if some of the businesses that I'm doing are going to work, but I hope they are. And so that's why I do it. You know what I mean? And anyway, so I kept that check in my wallet for honestly, probably a solid, I don't know, it's probably 4 or 5 years. And then I ripped it up and I, remade one. But I started learning the importance of vision. I started learning how I could control my state, how I could control the things that they're going around me just by reacting the correct way to them. And so all these negative things, people started coming out of the woodwork. People I didn't think they ever cared about me before, and they really didn't. But they certainly didn't want me to succeed. It is my vision that kept things going. And you got to have that. You got to have that. It's been really fun. So Russell's got like hundreds of books, right? Just hundreds of books. And books that he keeps on his shelf are not normal books. Like, they're the books that have made it through all the crap. You know what I mean? There's a lot of crap. There's a lot of garbage information out there. There's a lot of stuff that is just not good. And when we moved offices, he and I were throwing away, I think we threw away like 3 or 4 dumpsters worth of courses and books and material that were just no longer relevant or just really didn't, weren't up to snuff. And it was super sad. I was like, oh my gosh, like we're throwing away so hundreds of thousands of dollars of courses and tons of stuff, and it was like cutting me to the core. But I'm so glad that he did, because what I do, I don't know if he knows how to do this, but I'll go like bookshelf by bookshelf sometimes, and I'll just look through all the books and look at the titles and look at the ones that are just super, super interesting to me, because I know that they made it through his filter, and I'll go write them down and stuff like that. Well, I can't remember if this book was on his shelf or not. Regardless, I read it in college. This is a book. In the last month here, I think I've spent about $2,000 on books, because I'm getting ready to just like jump into another hardcore reading session and study session. And what I think I'm going to do, just for future, so you guys all know, what I think I'm going to do is I think I'll do a podcast on each of the books and just briefly tell you really fast each of the principles and each of the concepts that I'm learning in there, like the big major ones. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of books, a lot of copywriting books, a lot of persuasion technique books, a lot of sales books, obviously marketing strategy, a lot of, anyway, really, really cool stuff. Anyways, one of the books that I just pulled off the shelf that I was looking at is a book called Visionary Business. Now, Visionary Business was a book, like I said, I read it probably 4 years ago. And it's all about treating your employees correctly and obviously having a vision for the business. And it got a little bit weird and mystical at the end, saying that the business has like a soul and stuff like that. I don't believe that stuff at all. I think the culture is the soul, if you ever want to call, or say business has a soul. But anyway, regardless, so it's a book. This book is by Mark Allen. It's called Visionary Business, and there's a few lines in here that were just amazing. So listen to this. Okay, this is on page 66 of the book. Okay, he says, "Success follows a line of thinking that is focused on success. Failure follows a line of thinking dominated by doubts and fears. Your dominant thinking will always prove itself to be true." Okay? Your dominant thinking will always prove itself to be true. It cannot be otherwise. It is a law of nature. All thought becomes self-fulfilling. All thought becomes self-fulfilling. Holy crap. I cannot tell you how much that's true. I've told you so many experiences that I've had, like crap, like even in the Army. Holy crap. I remember this time when I was sitting down and I realized that I was not going to be able to, there's going to be no place to sleep except straight on the ground and just the uniform I was wearing. And it was 30 degrees and the ground was freezing. There was frost over the place. And I was literally laying directly on the dirt, just in my uniform. And it's hard to sleep like that. You start to, it's below freezing and you're sleeping directly on the ground. It's a mental game, like how much can you take? And they do that stuff to us all the time. And I realized that just by merely controlling my reaction to that action of them doing that holy crap, like I could, take on anything. That's what I felt like. But anyway, I think that's a really important lesson that it says that your dominant thoughts are the things that actually come to fruition, whether it's a judgment about somebody else, right? Eventually you'll just believe it. Whether it's the belief that you can actually go get something done. So true. Holy crap. It's such a big deal. When I launched that first product of mine that actually made money, the MLM product that I've told you guys about a couple times. Now, when I actually launched that, holy smokes, that was probably it took me about 6 months to launch that product. Because I'm in the middle of college, all these things going on. We haven't, having our kids and things like that. And it was really, really busy time. And so I was just hustling, and I was up really late and getting up early and giving up sleep for it. And it's because of the vision. I had this idea that, I remember thinking, oh my gosh, if this could just make, and in fact, there's even a video of it. If you want to, you can go to YouTube, look at my YouTube channel. At the beginning of every year, January 1st, I always release my goal. I always make a video and I release a goal. Well, what I do is I talk about what I did the previous year and where I was financially. And it's one of the scariest things I do every year. But the reason I do it is to hold my feet to the fire. This year, my goal is to make a $30,000 a month asset. And I'm not there yet, but I'm actually getting close, and very close. And anyway, super excited for it and for what that means. And there's this vision, right? There's a vision behind it. You have to have vision. Jim Carrey, what he had when he wrote that check was vision. When I did it too, it was vision. You need to surround yourself with people and places and inspiring things that are around. You guys know that quote, hey, you become the average of the top 5 people you hang around the most. I kind of thought that was crap for a while, but I got to tell you, I really believe that's true. You'll take on the isms, you'll take on the vernacular, you'll take on the vocab, you're going to take on the train of thought. What you think is possible will be so affected by the people you're hanging around, right? If you guys want to look at so anyways, Russell is always trying to do this for his audience as well, right? He's trying to go and he's trying to constantly do this for your own audience, right? I do this with you guys. I'm doing it right now for on purpose. I planned out this episode. I sat down and was thinking through what I could do and I could say for some of the things that have been going through my head. And I was thinking about just vision and how important it is and how you pretty much need to be stubborn about it. You got to believe that what this thing is, the thing that you have, the thing you're trying to go for is actually possible. But you have to believe it so much that you are willing to walk away from anybody else who is poo-pooing on your idea. You know what I mean? And anyway, amazing. Every once in a while, there's these kids that'll come out and mention to Russell, hey, Russell, like I made, $100,000 doing your webinar. And you're like, holy crap. Some kid came out and he's like 12 years old. He just made $500,000 from stage using the perfect webinar script. It was just absolutely amazing. I swear, if there's another 12-year-old that makes $1 million, I'm going to shoot something. It's like, oh man, the rest of us adults just overthink stuff. It's crazy. So anyway, stop overthinking it though. Write down what your vision actually is. In the book, he actually talks about business plans and how a well-written business plan is your sure sign to success. And I actually think that that's crap. I'm not a huge fan of business plans. I've never seen Russell write one. I guess you could call when we stand up and I've got whiteboards all in my home office right here. When I stand up and I whiteboard out a funnel and all the aspects to it and how it's going to sell and what's in the offer, I guess that's a business plan. It's not the traditional business plan. It's with pictures and stuff, but it's still the vision, right? And we think, oh, I think this product's going to make $3 million, right? Oh, dang, it only made $1 million. Well, let's see what we can do to tweak it to keep it going. It's all based on vision. Where are you trying to take the world? And what I was saying earlier before I got on a little side tangent there, is that if you want to, I just had the awesome chance to help redo Russell's new podcast intro. I love sound. I've been doing sound editing, sound mixing, music making for a very long time, over 20 years. Holy crap. I didn't realize that till right now. And I love it. And I've been doing it for a really long time. I love sound. I love sound quality. I love music. I'm obsessed with music. Russell knows. It's kind of weird. Like, I can't not focus if I don't have music playing sometimes. And so I'll just always, even if it's just with one earbud on, he's talking to me and I'll just have music going in the background. For some reason, it kind of calms me a little bit, but whatever. So he just went and he recorded this cool new podcast intro and I was able to go mix it and put the music behind it and all the little sound and all the little edits and the little pops and flares in it. And it's really cool. If you go to marketingsecrets.com, you can check out his new podcast intro. I freaking love his podcast intro. After I made it, I was like, crap, I wish this was mine. So cool. But you got to have the vision. You got to have the vision. And he goes through in his podcast intro and he talks about it's kind of his call to action. He does this in the Expert Secrets book. It's what we teach people all the time. You got to have what we call the title of liberty. You got to have this thing you can raise up to people and say, look, this is where we're going, and stay focused, stay with me. You know what I mean? And your vision is best when it's shared. I always laugh when people are like, oh, I don't want to tell you my business idea. You might steal it. Okay, there's like one person ever who's actually tried to execute some of the things that I do. And it's not that you can't do it. It's that I have this specific vision that is tailored directly to me in a specific niche, in a specific area. And the way I do it is my way. You know what I mean? And other people who've tried to do things that I'm doing the exact same way usually don't do very well. I remember when I tried to always emulate Russell, even after working for him, and eventually he took me aside and goes, look, you've got to find your own voice. You've got to find your own way. It's awesome that you're trying to model me. I get it. You're trying to be successful and do this stuff, but you have to do it your own way. You have to find your own voice. It's the same thing with your vision. It has to be yours, because if it's somebody else's vision, you'll find out real quick. Do you have a false sense of motivation about your vision right now? Do you have a false sense about it? If so, then it's probably somebody else's vision. All right. I remember for a long time, I will actually leave this person nameless, but they were doing a vision that was their parents. You know what I mean? It was really easy to tell. In fact, I brought it up to the person. I said, look, it looks like you are doing this. Is this really your thing, or is this somebody else's? And they were like, you know what? I actually think it's somebody else's. And it can be a scary thing to actually define and live up to and think through and be purposeful about what your vision actually is, but have one. Holy crap, have one. It's the reason I shoot those videos every single year at January 1st. It's the reason that I get out and actually start. It's the reason I tell you guys my goals. And most of the time, it's freaky to me. Like, I don't know if I'm going to hit them. I hope I do. I'm going to work my butt off and try and make it happen. You know what I mean? And you got to be that way a little bit. Be willing to be vulnerable with your vision. Be willing to be vulnerable with what you are trying to accomplish. You know what's funny? The more I've done that, the more support I've gotten. It's really interesting. The more support I've gotten, however, at the same time, there's more like naysayers and people that come out of the woodwork to tell me that I can't do it. But there's always this equal amount of people that come rushing around me saying, you can do it, Steven, you can do it. I love all the messages of people that I got after I launched this last year's goal video on January 1st. I had so many people reach out and they're like, you better freaking hit your goal, Larsen. You better hit it. You better get that $30,000 a month. I'm going to kill if you don't. And you're like, wow, that got kind of intense. But thank you very much. I'm super excited for this. Yeah, I totally get it. Like, and that's what this community is. That's what we do with each other. As I want to know what it is you're going for. That's your thing. I'm not going to steal it. No one else is going to steal it. We might get ideas. We might figure out like cool ways to sell. But you know what? I have never, ever thought or learned, or I have never seen the pie actually get smaller when somebody else tries to do something similar to you. Usually the pie just gets a little bit bigger. It's the weirdest thing ever. You know what I mean? There's more than enough to go around. There's more than enough opportunity to go around. We're always trying to lead people, with a vision in many different aspects, though, not just by talking or podcasting or writing books or whatever it is. I'm a little bit nervous to share this, to be honest, because I don't know if my server can handle it, but we'll see what happens. So if salesfunnelradio.com is not up, and very soon you guys will know why, because it crashed my server. But what I did is I went out. Oh, hey, cool. Just got a payment of someone just bought something from me. It's got a notification. It's cool to do that, isn't it? Oh man, so cool. Anyway, I just I thought to myself, like, okay, how can we keep doing things that are prolific, that are vision based, that keep people engaged, that help people want to be around us? What does that look like? What did we do? How does that, what can I do to break away from the mainstream and become prolific? You know what I mean? With marketing and messaging. And so what I did is I took, I was using, if you guys ever use the software Typeform, I love Typeform. Woofoo's cool too, but it's a little bit, looks like it's made in the 90s, to be honest. Typeform is like the new age, totally awesome, does everything Woofoo does, but more kind of thing. Anyways, they had a thing in there called Form Invaders. And basically what it was it's the game Space Invaders, like the Atari old school Space Invaders game. You know what I mean? It's like going back and forth, all 2D, shooting down at you. Well, anyways, I had this idea. I was like, oh my gosh, like, what if I was to take, and this is totally a marketing thing to do, okay? I was like, what if I took this game and the little spaceship that you're firing from is actually a ClickFunnels logo. And then what you're shooting is the Infusionsoft boss and all the things that make up their campaign builder and all their icons. And then after that, what if you were shooting and blowing away lead pages and all the things that make up, like drip and all the little elements that make up their logo and their stuff like that. And so I totally found this guy in Lebanon, and he went and he coded this game for me, and it's called Funnel Heroes. And if you go to funnelheroes.com/game, you can play Funnel Heroes. And it's to Russell's favorite song. And at the end of it, you could totally share your score and share it on Facebook. And it's a lot of fun. It's super fun. It's actually, anyway, it's mobile friendly as well, so you can play it on your phone. But go to funnelheroes.com/game and feel free to share your score. In fact, I would love to see that. I've only not died twice now. It's really fun. But basically, I made my own video game. And what I did is I sat down Russell. I was like, hey, I got the surprise for you. And every time there's a surprise that he always has for me, he never tells me what it is. It always drives me nuts. So for 2 weeks, I built this thing up, and I was like, hey, dude, I got this surprise for you. I got it. He's like, what is it? What is it? And I was like, I'm not going to tell you. He's like, oh, it's so not fair. You're doing what I do to you. And he goes and he sits down, and I showed him the game, and he's playing in our conference room on our huge projectors, Funnel Heroes. So funnelheroes.com/game. You got to go to that forward path. Excuse me. But anyway, and the reason I did it in a weird way is because of vision. I wanted to do something that was prolific, that was a little bit crazy and a little bit out there, but at the same time, you're blowing away our competitors in the game. It's really, I changed the logos, I rotated them, so it's not the exact logo, but essentially, yeah, I mean, we all get it. You know what you're doing. But anyway, so if you go to funnelheroes.com/game, you can actually play the game itself. But the reason I did it though is because I wanted to, like I said, do something prolific, but then also I wanted to keep the vision going. I wanted to, and you might be like, oh, Steven, that's stupid. That's tiny. It doesn't matter. You got to just speak loud. One of the lessons I've learned from marketing is actually in college when I learned this. I can't remember where I was, but I remember I was the CEO of this little business we were running. We were getting $3,000 a week selling to just students on campus. Anyways, really, really fascinating. But what I learned was I thought we were marketing so hard we were annoying people. That's actually the time when we actually started getting people to notice us. You know what I mean? As a marketer, as somebody who's sharing your vision, as somebody who's sharing the story, what's going to end up happening to you is that you're going to start you're going to share the same stories over and over and over and over. And why are you doing it? To cause belief, right? That's what marketing is. You're educating and you're causing belief. And as you're telling the stories over and over and over again, you're personally going to feel like you're beating a dead horse. Like, oh my gosh, these guys must have heard this story before. These guys must have, you know what I mean? And the chances are, you know what? There's a few people who are listening that, you know what? They probably have heard some of my stories before. That's okay. That's okay. Because when you feel like you are speaking the loudest and when you feel like you are being annoying, that's actually when people are just barely starting to get to notice you. Okay? It's the same thing with your vision. When you start getting loud enough about your vision and clear enough about it, and you start figuring out exactly what it is that you want to do with your life and what it is that you're trying to do, the one thing that you're focusing on, right? Not like 12. Go find one thing that you're going to focus on, one business, not 12. Don't go chase all these other things. Don't get distracted by the shiny object syndrome. Don't get, all the different shiny objects and stuff like that. You're only allowed to do one thing. Create a vision for one thing, right? You can only climb one peak at a time, and you go climb that peak, and the more clear you get about it, it's just so amazing. And the louder you get about it, like I said before, the seas will start to part for you, so to speak. You'll start to it'll feel for a while like nothing's happening, but if you're honestly, legitimately pushing hard, you're honestly, legitimately trying to make a sale and build something. Eventually you're going to get some traction, and you'll attract people who want to help you, and you'll attract a few people who don't want you to actually succeed also, and be prepared for that. Those people are poo-poo on you. They always lose steam. You want to know why? Because they don't have your vision, okay? That's why I'm doing this. Your vision is your freaking superpower, okay? They're going to come at you with, it's the kryptonite for all the people out there who think they're super at killing you and taking you down, okay? Your kryptonite to the world of the poo-poos and the naysayers is by having a very strong business. Anyway, Guys, I hope that makes sense. But get clear with it. I dare you to write a check. I dare you to find out what it is you're going to do. If you have not started yet before, if you've actually not been successful before with it, that's okay. All right. I think it took me 9. I was more than that. I think I was like 11 or 12 businesses before one actually stuck, right? And you got to be kind of crazy to be able to go through that. Why do you do it? Vision. That's it. It's really simple. But I've found somehow I've managed to speak 25 minutes on this to you guys, okay? So just go create a vision and be loud about it. I dare you to be loud about it. I dare you to write it down. I dare you to publish something about it and go tell the world. It's going to freak you out if you've never done it before, but who cares? Whatever. What are they going to do about it? I don't know. You'll find out real quick if they're one of the people who's going to help you or one of the people who's going to try and tear you down. So start drawing lines in the sand, figure that out, and you'll actually find your goals come to you a lot faster. Not that they just sling to you like the Book of Secret talks about, but that you'll actually be able to achieve them faster. Things will fall in place as you basically prove to everybody that you're serious and that you mean business. And that you're willing to take the hits, and that you're also willing to be, there's times when you'll be in the spotlight, and you got to be able to handle that as well. So anyways, guys, go create the, I'm starting to lose my voice. I feel like I need some water, but go create the vision, get serious about it, write a check down, and start being really, really loud about it. All right, guys, talk to you later. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Sales Funnel Radio. Please remember to subscribe and leave feedback. Want to get one of today's best internet sales funnel for free? Go to salesfunnelbroker.com/free funnels to download your pre-built sales funnel today.